in a minute. All right, it's that Davis show, but F that Davis show. It's D and Davis. Look, also D. Also D. I'm gonna have to tell you when you return, and we're back in the days, and it was funny to give you guys some past history. So initially, when Demonze and myself were at ICB, which would become IMS, we had an exceptionally talented class. To be honest with you,
we did.
But we were in the middle group, so it was kids, people younger than us and people older than us, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes, because just in the high schools some of these people went to, they weren't used to it's time to learn, and it would take a minute to quiet the class down, right? And especially when you paying for it, you want to get some, right? You want to get some. So so initially, actually, when we first got to ICB, Demonze and I didn't even sit together. All right. Like, I mean, mind you. And so I always want to give me a full history. I've always wanted to do radio. My dad told me you should be talking sports. I thought about going out to Lombard. When it came to the city, I thought about that. Me and Demonze and I worked with one another. Demonze was going because he had already went to a defunct radio school that closed while he was going there with Leon Rogers. And he was going here. And I was like, I'm thinking about it. And he's like, man, come on. And
not Leon, Connor McKnight.
Okay, Connor McKnight. I apologize.
Yeah,
Connor McKnight. And so that's how. But when we went there, initially, Demonze sat in the front row. I sat 2 rows back. I sat with Bobby and Nate, Nasty Nate, my guy. And Bobby.
Damn.
No. See, the crazy part about that, I used to call him that then. So he like it wasn't. It's not like I'm pulling. But that used to be my joke.
I know.
Nate. And Nate was like 25 back then. Right,
he was young, right.
We
were all young,
yeah, right. So it'd be like one of those things. And Nate is doing well in realty,
real estate,
real estate and everything. I still follow him. I love him to death or whatever. And Bobby, unfortunately, lost her mother. I don't know if it was her brother recently that she's close to. And Bobby, because I said Bobby is extremely close to the males in her family. Yeah, she lost her brother, who I think he was a cop too. Recently, so sorry for the loss, Bobby Denise or whatever. That was like a month and a half ago. So sorry for that too. But I sat next to them. But when we started to get to this point where we had to go work and all this was planned, me and D was like, all right, forget this. Let's go and record. Right. And that's the real beginning of D and Davis, where when people were sitting there talking, me and D are like, dude, no, let's go now. Because they would just send us to the room and we would do a show. Right. Yeah. And that's what we started to do or whatever. And there was other people. They were supposed to have a lot more people in it that just didn't want to do it to a degree.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I understand too, just because you may not see what could happen or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's like, talking about like Dexter and Ron and some other people or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the beginning. And then D got us on the radio station for the school. You know what I'm saying? That's, when that was before we graduated or whatever, just to give you the backstory of Demonze and myself and so on and so forth and how it all came together or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm always indebted to my brother. You know what I'm saying? Even when I win my Emmys and everything, one of the names that you always, oh no, you can laugh, baby. I'm going to.
No, he probably gonna get one. Yeah.
I'm not laughing at the idea. I love where
speaking
the
of existence.
Going.
So, my brother, I can't say that. At different times, because some people, I could say, I'll be here regardless. I mean, I can't say that all the way because I may have not taken that opportunity at that time. So my brother did that.
It took a little convincing. It took a little convincing to get Ken to do it.
It did. You know what I'm saying?
Glad I did it though. Glad I did it.
Right. Yeah. So and also, real quick, this is funny. This is a whole different discussion before we get into the Batman. I'm gonna give you some past history of Demonze and myself. So we have a friend that's name is Medi. All right.
Medi.
And Medi is the reason that Demonze and I became friends, right? And Medi, and mind you, now I'm old. I'm still young, but I had at the time where I started working where Demonze was working, I had not worked in probably several years at least, but I've been taking care of my grandmother and my great aunt because my father had died, right? So I hadn't really been on Insta message and stuff like that, right? So me and Medi are sitting there IMing each other, and he adds D to it, right? And we added another member, Chris Gonka, but Chris didn't want to stay. Yeah, Chris Gonka, but Chris didn't stay. Shout out to Chris,
yeah,
or whatever. But that's where me and D, because of Medi putting us in this chat together, started. Mm-hmm. So initially, I'm like, what's up with this dude? Or whatever. So Medi goes on vacation. The first time Medi goes on vacation, me and D talk a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, whatever. The second time Medi goes on vacation, me and D really are talking through the Insta message or whatever. Like, this is when we're really becoming friends now. Or whatever. And then me and D would have these large debates in the break room where people would have to come in and tell us we're raising too much noise and stuff like that.
Like, y'all be quiet.
Exactly, right. And it's just privilege, and I always appreciate it, and I always love you, and you should always know that.
Love you, brothers. Love you too, man. But that's when we was kind of like sharpening each other's skills right there.
Right.
Because I think that's when I was like, I'm gonna go do this radio thing. And then that fell through, and I was like, I want to keep doing it. And then you and I was debating each other, talking to each other.
So also, D had a cousin that was basically supposed to be me that passed, unfortunately. Right?
Yeah, my cousin Justin. Yeah, my cousin Justin Hopkins. He passed away in 2009. But he was a football guy, and I really wanted him to get into it. For him to start, because he played high school football here, all pro in the city. No, all city. Basically, he had Robeson High School, played a little semi-pro football, but he passed away.
Shout out to him, man. R.I.P.
Yeah. When he just turned 30, he passed away.
Yeah, R.I.P.
But yeah, when me and Ken would talk football, whatever like that, it was kind of like, man, this is good. So, so like I said, we was kind of sharpening each other's skills because we was already kind of doing it in the break room. And then by the time we got to school, we was like, oh, let's go do it. Let's go do this. This is what we were wanting to do. We tried to do different iterations of it, trying to get more people in because we was thinking like, man, we can't do sports. Let's just do high topics. Let's do topical kind of things. See if we can get on the FM station. But, we were able to get our show, D and David show on the school station. And man, everything just kept on rolling. And, just for two guys, from Inglewood and from the South Side of Chicago, able to get to that platform. I said guys.
I didn't see too many people almost get shot in Inglewood. But I collected too many bullets, and I literally mean that in Inglewood.
Yes.
Come outside like, it's another bullet.
Like Lucky Charms in this movie. Exactly. But to be able to get to that point, from us to do that, to get to the platform was that, to doing the score, doing TV shows here, and now Ken's killing the NBC. Hey man, everything happens for a reason. Even if I take a step back, I can always pop in and do stuff like this to kind of keep the, the juices flowing, and my keep my creative mind just kind of going, and that's always good to do. But no, man, things happen for a reason. People meet for a reason. Mm-hmm. And man, that's why and like I said, Ken, if we went through all that for you to be able to get on the stage, man, and get an Emmy, it was all worth it.
Oh, we got to get more than that, baby.
Hey, let's go.
I want the world, and I don't want the world by myself. No. But the thing is, the world by myself is empty, to be honest with y'all. Mm-hmm. I need the world with my friends, right? That's the real thing where it's like, right? Like that's really when you effers can't tell me nothing, right?
Right.
When you and your mans are on top, right? That's when you really can't, because it's one thing to do it and it's like cutthroat and do it alone, but it's another thing to do it as a collective. Anyway, so let's get to Batman so we can get up out of here.
Yes.
So I went to see the Batman.
Wait. Are we doing spoilers? Can we talk about this openly?
Oh yeah. We've decided because this D is dropping, I believe, on Thursday, Ryan, correct?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, towards the end of the week.
Yeah, and I said to Ryan, because Ryan said this the other day, by that time, it's on you. Because it really, I'm going to tell you real quick. The reason why I went to go see it is because you and Memphis on our thread would have revealed because I've had to mute y'all a couple of times. It's like, dude, I didn't see this.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Because y'all go so deep, like we've all seen it.
And it's like, it's my cousin, man. You blame my cousin.
No, it be you too, bro. It be you. It be a lot of you. All right? Don't put that on Kyle. It's a lot of you. All right.
It's Cuzzo. No.
And this, and it, because sometimes I'll be like, "Hey, y'all giving spoilers." And I'm like, you know what? But no, I'm gonna tell you what. it had been to the point where the movie had been out, and I'm just like, I haven't seen it. I'm just going to mute it so it doesn't ruin it for me or whatever, because I haven't seen it. I'm not going to say anything. So I decided, you know what? Let me go see this, because after hours kind of was like, I don't know about that movie, and I was kind of like, I was like, I think we probably should see it, and I'm like, it's still a Batman movies, especially let's just say after you get past Michael Keaton. As far as the initial iteration, that initial run when it was Val Kilmer and George Clooney. But after you get past, like, after the Michael Keaton one for the first run weren't bad, and I still felt like Penguin should have been used in the other iterations, because Danny DeVito in the second Michael Keaton movie, it was actually really good. It was dark.
It was good. Yeah, it was.
I always wanted them to bring the Penguin back, right?
Yeah.
Like I could, and you know how I felt about the Joker Christian Bale one. I didn't like the fact that they had Two-Face in that one too. I always felt like
they kind of shoved them in there.
Yeah, you wasted Two-Face. Why did you? And this movie, the crazy thing, because first of all, the people that make Batman, it is okay to do a 2.5 hour movie. Don't feel like you always have to do 3 and above.
Almost 3 hours. Yeah.
Well, because I'm gonna tell you, and we're gonna get to this one. When they caught the Riddler in the diner and they had the question mark in the coffee with the cream, I was like, at that point, I was like, if they stopped it right here, I'm good. Right? I was like,
I thought that was gonna be the end too.
I was like, but listen, that was some Remember the last Lord of the Rings movies when they had like 2 H? It was like, okay, so it's like, oh shit, we got to go to the Shire too. Then we got to go here when they leave. It's like, when y'all go in, you could have ended when they dropped the ring in the damn volcano, right? So anyway,
no epilogue for you.
When you're sitting there and we're talking about Patterson, I don't know why I'm
Robert Pattinson.
I didn't go see the Shimmering Vampire movies. I know Afton,
also known as Twilight.
Yeah, I didn't see I called it the Shimmering. Why are these vampires out in sunlight? That lets you know that the rules being like they shimmer. Like what the hell?
I'm with you too. I've never seen any of those.
I've never seen 20 minutes of in all the Twilight movies. I've seen. I forget the dude that was the wolf. I seen him like running through the woods. I don't know either.
They're always running.
But remember, they were all big at one point. But I seen
they
him
were.
running.
They were huge.
So anyway, when Robert Pattinson got this role, I was kind of like, okay, right. Grunge, and I don't just mean that like nasty. I mean Seattle grunge, which is also a part of the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I am all for grunge emo Batman. All right. The scene where they had him with the black dark Batman and he's talking to Alfred in the grunge outfit. I loved it so much. All right, like that. Just to how he like. I'm being honest with you. I'm ready to make this man my Batman. Right?
Wow.
I'm there too.
Wow.
Like my Batman is Michael Keaton, but I acquiesced to Christian Bale as Batman, even though the voice part, like Christian Bale really went hard. I was like, damn, so like, all right, and they all do that.
Real quick, wasn't that refreshing that he lowered his voice and it didn't sound like he was out of breath?
It didn't sound like he.
He
had rocks in his throat the full time.
This city, I must protect this city. Yeah, that was kind of
So, Robert Pattinson. One, they did a phenomenal job, and the director and writers in this movie. Matt
Reeves. Yeah,
Matt Reeves. Thank you, Matt Reeves.
You said Planet of the Apes earlier. I was thinking
no.
That's why we saw watching it,
and I'm not going to watch. I'm still not going to watch any of those.
Wait a minute, hold on. Time out. You haven't seen the newer ones?
Nope. I think I seen one. I think I seen the first one with Mark
Which
Wahlberg.
Is not Matt Reeves. No, James Franco. That's way old.
Dude, that's like 2000. Ken, no, I'm talking about the ones that made like in 2011, 2012.
All right, now you know the history of Planet of the Apes back.
I know the history. What's
that? What's the history of that you're saying?
Oh, basically, it was kind of like as if black people would have took over the
exactly, and that's why. And that's why I won't watch that bullshit because I ain't no damn monkey. All right, like
the ones in the 70s are wild. We watched that real quick. We watched the previews for one. I think it was called Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, or Beneath. I think it was called Conquest. And basically, they was basically like, Black people in a sense. Yeah. They wasn't like trying to like have like the black person dialect of the 1970s. That's not the case.
It was like you jive the monkeys with them out, you jive ass turkey.
You jive turkey. Why you giving me this banana? No, it wasn't.
Okay, nobody called it.
It's like that scene. It's like that scene from Airplane when the white lady is like, hold on, I speak jive.
Yeah.
Oh no, Boogaloo, you better calm it down.
It wasn't that bad, but it was kind of to the point. It was one scene when the female ape, her name was Zero. She walked in and she saw something hanging up on the wall and she fainted. She's like, oh, and it's like, oh my God, she fainted. She must have been startled. She sat up. She's like, no, I'm pregnant. I said, what the hell am I watching? Like, what kind of, like, what is it? Like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? It's weird. The ones in the 70s are weird.
Yes. And
they're weird.
They had
it was 5 of them.
No,
I didn't know that either.
I knew there were a lot. I knew there were more than people knew they were.
Yeah, it was a lot of them.
All I remember is Mr. NRA. All right,
Charleston
Heston coming across the beach and thinking he was like on another planet and seeing the Statue of Liberty in the sand and realized, oh no, that he was that's what your ass get. All right.
Yeah. Back to the Batman. I'm sorry.
So anyway, back to the Batman. I'm just trying to set you up with my thoughts. One thing that I did enjoy, I love the difference in the Gotham grit. I feel like a lot. Getting back to all the Batman movies in the past, the prior Batman movies, they were over the top with the grit. Like even if you go back to like Bane in the football stadium, like this was gritty, and of course this was a some type of collage of Chicago and London too.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Chicago and London too, or whatever, right? So you had some scenes like when Batman jumps off the building running from the cops, that's our championship row. Where, for instance, if you went to where the White Sox had their parade right there on LaSalle, that's where that statue is with no face up there. That's where he dives off or whatever. But it was a combination. I remember hearing someone that helped make that. Maybe I don't know if it was NPR or not. Talk about how they built the Chicago stuff over there in London, but you see when you watch the movie that clearly it's not Chicago.
You could definitely tell where they're in Chicago, where they're not in Chicago. Yeah, right, definitely.
So,
I didn't know they filmed a lot of that here. I had no idea.
Right. So they built a lot of the Chicago stuff over there in London.
Okay.
So, but the grit wasn't heavy hand. It was still gritty and not a clean city, right? But it wasn't what they did in the past where they tried to make it big. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one part I like because it was like, I want you to know this is Gotham. And it was still like you knew it was Gotham, but it was still like, first, or put it like this, we grew up in a big city. You know what I'm saying? Right. So you don't have to hit me over the head with it's a big city. I can see it's a big city. But I feel like in the past,
in the city, I actually live in the city.
Right.
So yeah, I get you.
So that's, but also just from the color of the grit, they didn't have to overdo it to show you that it's a dirty metropolis. You know what I'm saying? So that I enjoyed that part. Now, and this is maybe controversial. This is my favorite Batmobile.
I don't think it's controversial at all.
No, because this goes back to the Batman of my youth, right?
Adam West?
No. That one is my second favorite Batmobile. No, that one and Christian Bale's Batmobile. I may put Adam West one slightly above the tank, right? But for anybody that thinks that the Batmobile from the 90s was tight, you're fucking lying. And I mean, we went to Great America and we saw it. But if you didn't know that stretched single seat Eldorado wasn't it, right? Because I remember being a kid, like, I guess, right? Like, I guess, right? But it was never like,
is that an Eldorado? Is that a 95 or a 93?
He got a Stutz. Barry White used to own it. Like, is that a pimped out Stutz with a wheel on the back? Like, what do we like? That was not it. It was not it, right? I get it, but that was not it, right? To have dude, and also that was one of the best chase scenes. And I'm not even the biggest chase. I'm not the Steve McQueen bullet chasing guy. Man. That was one of the better from the acting, from how the Penguin was acting while I was going on. That was one of the better chase scenes that I've seen. Go ahead.
I'm not like you. I'm not a big I don't watch the Fast and the Furious movies, and I know a lot of people watch those for the chase scenes and the action and all like that. I'm not a big fast guy. I'm not a big car chase scene guy. I'm really not. Right?
I'm with you.
And I had heard about it before, on kind of like non-spoiler reviews, stuff like that. I heard quite a few people say, listen, the introduction to this Batmobile is something you have to experience in the theater. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's just a Batmobile. It was like, listen, when you see it, and the introduction to it is going to blow you away. So when the scene, we kind of fast forward a little bit, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts on the movie.
You went to see this in Hot Park, right?
No.
Where'd you go?
I was at IMAX.
Okay,
IMAX in Hotchkiss.
Now I went to the Dolby at Crestwood. You have to check out. They have a Dolby theater, right?
Yeah, I've heard the Dolby is great. I saw it in IMAX. The sound was amazing though.
No. The screen is Dolby, so it's darker. They show you before it comes on how explosions and stuff look in regular, and in Dolby, right? And so they have a whole Adobe theater in Crestwood.
So you're saying I should go see it in Dolby now?
No, you're straight. You've seen it in IMAX, I believe.
Okay.
What I'm trying to tell you is that you can go to Crestwood sometimes, especially since you live where we live at. That if it's in that theater, and I bought my tickets early, if it's in that theater, you're good as far as going all the way out to Navy Pier, wherever you went to see it in IMAX.
Yeah, no, we went to. I had the AMC not subscription, but I did like the $15 for a year.
It's AMC. That's
and AMC out there. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Thank you for knowing that. Let me know that. So the introduction to the Batmobile, the way it was set up when he was like, I'm already here. You know what I'm saying? When Gordon, Jeffrey Wright followed him to the dock, he was like, I'm already here. I'm like, how did you already get there? And then they had the little scuffle, whatever like that. Think Batman got popped. They walk around, boom, he gone. And next thing you know, they pan up, and it's just the silhouette of the car. And I love the way Matt Reeves did this. Throughout the first act, I would say the second act, throughout the first act, they were showing the parts.
The engine. You saw the engine. And then you saw the commercial, you knew that was the engine. It was like, that's the engine.
That's the engine. Right? And at one part in the very beginning, they had a drape over the Batmobile. So I'm like, okay, they have it covered up. And then they start showing clips of, they go to the chain to the engine. He go to the engine itself. He goes to nuts and bolts. So I love the way they kind of like led you up to it. Instead of just saying, boom, here's a Batmobile. They actually showed you building it, him building it. And man, that chase scene was, I literally had to like sit back in my chair, and I was like, in a car scene. I'm not a car chase guy. And I'm looking at it like, this shit is amazing. And at the end, I love the way Matt Reeves did this. When he flipped the Penguin over.
I already said that. When Penguin is flipping in that car.
He's flipping in that car. That's amazing. Even a shot before that, when they had the close-up of him looking back like, I got you. And his face in the rearview mirror, the cinematography of this was amazing, right? But when he flipped over,
he's looking upside down.
Matt Reeves didn't.
And I wanted to do this in the movie theater. I want to do this.
Yes, but it was amazing. Yes.
You see, for anybody, so at this point, Batman catches up to the Penguin, just so you know. Right. Yes. We don't want to give you that much. But the Penguin, because his car has rolled over 5 times at least, right? And it's so well how
it should have been dead, but okay.
Right. But when he's upside down looking at Batman walking towards him out of the Batmobile, and there's a blazing blaze behind him, and the cape is fluttering in the wind, but you're watching it from the Penguin's perspective, upside down. But you know it's a cold scene. Now, kind of like I said, I want to do this because I'm like, this is cold as hell.
But what's even sweeter, when Batman looked down at him, they didn't change it, nothing. They kept it just like that. And he's like, I see your ass. I got your ass. It's like, oh my, like this dude is wild. Now, I will have to see what's next up, because of course it's going to be a trilogy. Mm-hmm. They're already doing 2 spinoffs for this show to HBO Max, from this movie to HBO Max. The Penguin is going to have his own series, Colin Farrell's gonna be back on it.
I like that. I like that. I like the ping. I like this penguin iteration.
Colin Farrell
I like that he's
amazing.
Wait, that was the penguin was Colin Farrell?
Yeah, you ain't know that? Yeah. That's Colin Farrell. He was amazing. Listen, I even walked out of there. I told the missus, listen, he stole the movie. Number one, anytime he was on the screen, he stole the movie. Number two, it wouldn't shock me. It might be too late. It wouldn't shock me if you get a little hint of him being up for an Oscar for supporting actor. He was that good. He ain't gonna win it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they start floating his name.
His role wasn't large enough,
but it was good for a supporting actor, though.
But if he had a larger role, because to me, I said the same thing. I felt like he stole it.
He stole that
love
movie.
The fact that you didn't have this copper pot that was from a privilege to a degree. It was this gritty city.
You're gonna be able to see him kind of rat. He was like,
like we all.
I ain't no rat. And
I love
man.
Danny DeVito. I think Danny
DeVito did
a really good job.
It was close to our comic book love.
Right, exactly.
That was that character, and that was great.
A different interpretation. But see, that was one of the problems I had with the Christian Bale series. I thought they should have done Penguin, to be honest with you.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I did, because even though I love the Ra's al Ghul thing, it kind of
Batman Begins again like that.
It misses the point, because he's not someone that people really care about to a certain degree if you haven't been following the comic book, right? And if you're not going to go into like Damien and all that other stuff, it kind of don't even make sense.
I agree with you. I agree with
you. That, you know what I'm saying? So that was kind of where, to me, that could have. And then, like I just say, like the Two-Face, when like you forced Two-Face into a great Joker movie, that was like you didn't even need Two-Face right there. Like, why'd you burn Two-Face for no reason at the end of this movie? And I thought they were going to do this in this movie. Right, because it was too long, but it was good with it being too long. But I'm happy that it was still an extension of the storyline with the Riddler. Also, the Riddler,
Paul Dano,
who of course you drank my shake. I drank your shake, right? When was perfect because he matches what you always think of, like without the mask on, he matches some of the aesthetic of the Riddler.
Well, the Riddler, person.
But the new,
not this big buff dude,
right? The look with the duct tape and just like he's a great actor. He's been a great actor prior to this. He's a great actor. He was perfect to play this role. It was perfect to do this with an underutilized character in the Riddler, who when we grew up watching the Adam West Batman was used as he should be used. Like all those central, like the Penguin, like for instance, when we grew up, every Batman episode wasn't about the damn Joker. Right? This is what happens with these Batman movies. Like they want the people that don't really care about the history. It's like what's the main plot line? Who's the biggest villain or whatever? No, you had Egghead or whatever Vincent Price was. Forget who Vincent Price was at that time or whatever. You had the Joker, you had the Riddler, you had Catwoman, you had the
was Mr. Freeze back then?
Yes, you had Mr. Freeze. Like you had all these characters, and every episode wasn't Batman, and also the Penguin and Joker used to be a tandem back in those days.
They were
show all this time, right? So to have the Penguin, like you said, the point was like, I'm not a rat. Right, and then to really show, and also the joke when they leave him there. Also, Jeffrey Wright. I love that they had a young Lieutenant Gordon that could fight alongside Batman and check him at times.
It was like a partner in crime, not partner in crime, but kind of like a tandem, like partners, basically detectives. It was like this is a Batman movie that's really in the detective series. The comics, if this is what you wanted, if you're a comic book nerd, you know what I'm saying, you're really into the Batman comics and he's like a true detective, that's exactly what this was. This was so different from any other iterations of the movies we have seen, where it's like very comic booky, very superhero-ish, maybe not so much a Christian
Bale. Or too dark, B. Or too over
dark.
Top with he's this dark character. Go ahead. Can you finish?
Yeah. But I think with this movie and possibly with this trilogy, you're going to really see him working as a detective. It's like a lot of things he's figuring out just like this. Like a lot of things that Ben Affleck did, although Ben Affleck was fine. He was cool.
But he's better than I expected initially. But
he was a good Bruce. Batman, I don't know. It's kind of like, man, you should have known that. You're Batman. You're the world's greatest detective. Off jump, going into the scene when the mayor gets killed, he's looking around and he's like pinpointing so much to the point. If you saw it, the person that goes around and takes pictures of this crime scene starts following him because he's starting to see stuff that they didn't see, and then they start taking pictures. So he's like putting all this stuff together. Very, very smart. Very smart. I love that Matt Reeves did that with this version of the Batman, which does not shock me when you say that Robert Pattinson could be your favorite Batman, because this is what we used to. If we're comic book fans, this is the Batman that we've been waiting to see. And we finally got it. And finally got it. Yeah.
A Batman, and they did both sides of it. They did someone that's not in touch with regular reality, as far as when you have Catwoman, like, I know you're a spoiled rich boy, right? Because you're black and white and you don't know gray. Like, they did a great point explaining in this movie. He does not know gray. He's polarizing to the point of you're either good or bad, and doesn't understand people's experiences as far as what they go through, that it's not as easy to say someone's good or bad like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But remember, he's young though. This is like
no. I totally, but no, the point I'm going to get to, but he was also more human. At the end scene, closer to the end, where the lady's getting hella lifted out and she grabs his arm. Yeah, he grabs her hand, and that's to your point. You said this, I know it's in the text thread. It's so much closer because the Batman we grew up to, he was Batman, but he wasn't a full-on dick.
Yeah,
right. Like, and that's what this Batman is closer to, where like it's like, I don't even have emotions. We're like, Batman, he was still Batman, but he still was a human being to a degree. You know what I'm saying? And they've kind of tried to bleed out all the humanity in a way. Not to say that, of course, the reason his goal is to save humanity, but acting like he doesn't have some of it inside of him. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that's what I think, to your point of, this is kind of like the comic book Batman from the 70s and 80s that we kind of know of. And that's what made it so good. Zoey Kravitz killed as Catwoman.
I think she stole the movie.
Really? Now, if I had the missus on, the missus is like, what was she there for?
Really? She a hater. She did. And I'm not even the Zoey Kravitz. Go ahead, Ryan. You haven't.
Matt Reeves said that this isn't an origin story. It's a villain origin story. All the villains are getting their origin.
They are.
That's
what makes this movie. This is the blueprint for comic books to me.
Because you don't have to stop
this hero bullshit. How did he get here?
We already know that.
Right.
Get him doing what he's supposed to be doing, or her doing whatever their skill. Like you said, the cinematography was number one for me. He's a fucking detective for once, which was murder mystery Batman. What?
Murder mystery Batman. Sound?
A buzz sound?
No buzz sound. Go ahead. Continue going. Forget what I'm talking about. Maybe my earbud may be about to die. Is what that may be about too. Go ahead.
But Batman as a detective, murder mystery, I was all about that. And I think the best thing for me with that movie was just like the relationship he had with the villains, and how the villains actually, like, what Gotham really is a power struggle. That's what it ultimately is. It's always just getting eaten up by evil. There's some power struggle to take control. And the mob is always the biggest part of it, because it's almost like bacteria on your hand. When they say don't use like antibacteria, it's because that 0.1% that lives there can grow now. And that's a lot stronger than the rest of the 99 you kill. When the mob is controlling Gotham, it's the entire entity, and some of these smaller villains, well, not smaller, but the well-known villains, Penguin, Joker, Riddler, all of them, they're almost lost in the wash. But when Batman starts cleaning up the streets, it opens up that ability for the villains to take over. And that's what they were really like showing to me as an origin in this. It's kind of like when they talked about it in the end of Batman Begins, like, we get body armor, they get assault or bullet piercing body armor type stuff. It's always escalation, as Gordon put it in that one. That's what Batman is. It's always an escalation, and there's always something trying to fill the void of what's left.
One of the best parts too was how they played up the fact, and Batman mentioned it, that since the 2 years that he's been Batman, crime has increased in Gotham. That, and you saw it with the villains with calling themselves Vengeance. That, and that's what the nickname that Catwoman had for Batman. That he is empowering the villains and people to think that they're doing the right thing to get out there, and to see the villains call themselves Vengeance, which basically have been his nickname, to the point that he's influencing the bad guys to get out there too. And just like the Riddler told him, like, I didn't even know I could do any of this, so I saw you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And once I saw you, showed that fear, and the whole thing in the beginning of the movie is Batman talking about how the bat signal goes up, the fear of people thinking he's in the shadows, and that thinking that he's influencing the criminals to not do crime, but he's also influencing criminals to use fear as a tool of their advantage moving forward in the future, which was such a great dichotomy for them to use. Like, that was like, so this is why I really like this movie, because they looked at every only thing, and they almost did it. If they would have shot him in the mouth and killed him, right? Because Batman should have been dead. Batman should have been like, that double barrel shot. That's what I was about to say. First of all, let's just be honest. Anybody that can be succumbed by a double barrel shotgun should not be able to be Darkseid. All right, for all you, and again, Batman is the best character in DC. He has the best movies. I'm not saying that, but for you stands to be Batman, like, this dude would have been. If this dude was in Chicago, we would have killed his ass in the 60s. All right, it's not a question that the Stones or the folks or the Vice Lords would have taken his ass out back.
Man, you see his mouth open. Shoot him in the mouth.
And listen, this is the worst part. So when the double barrel shotgun guy puts it, and they still would have killed him to his to right here on his head, I was like, please put it by his mouth. I was just like, when he pulled it out, I was like, please just bring it right here, just to show, like, dude, you are so human. Right here, right. So, but Brian, your point was so on point. This is the thing too that I loved, you guys. I love the revisionist history. The fact that Martha is a Arkham, and to actually use. I
didn't know that they was going to use that.
Actually, use that as to show you the power dynamic in the Waynes. Like, this is like the Maras marrying the Rooneys, right? Because like Rooney Mara or whatever. This is like the Giants owner having marrying the Steelers owner.
Steelers daughter,
kids or whatever. You get what I'm trying to say. But to have that where Martha, all right, Bruce Wayne's. We go back to Batman versus Superman, where Batman, his jealous hate of someone who's superior to him, as people in this country, decides that he has to take Superman out, and the only thing that stops him is Superman says Martha, and it's like, my mama, right? And then what crazy part?
How do you know that name? How do you know that name?
Exactly. I'm gonna extrapolate this to this movie. The crazy part, that stopped his whole plan to kill this alien that was saving the planet, right?
Right.
And in this movie, Batman couldn't understand why his father, Thomas, went to the angst that he went to protect Martha. Right, where the Batman, again, these are two different movies or whatever, but that Batman didn't kill Superman because of his mother, but he couldn't understand why his father did what he did to protect his mother. But to see that with the dynamic that Arkham, something we all know from Batman history as far as being where they lock the criminals up, and it's funny because we never think about, why is this name that? Who was that family?
Right, who was Arkham?
Right, we know now because things have to be renamed because people were damn colonizers and racists that had the names or whatever. But to see that they used Arkham and said that Martha was an Arkham, and you think about, like, clearly her family had to be rich if they built Arkham Asylum, right? Like, just like, you don't build those things if you're not wealthy or whatever. And to show her, but this is my kicker, D. So. And I know you because I've given up the last year and a half, Demonze. I do a little bit, but I've given up reading into things because I want to do it my own way.
Yeah.
Martha, there's some relationship, in my opinion, and you may have found this out, between Martha and the Joker. The Joker, in my opinion, his last name is Arkham.
Oh no, I mean, I think that'd be a cool little twist. I think I kind of thought that maybe they was going to have the Riddler be Bruce's brother at one point. You know what I'm saying? I knew there was going to be some type of connection towards the end. Like they know each other some kind of way, and this is the reason why he's doing it. And it did happen that way. He was a kid that was an orphan, and you know what I'm saying, how that all played out within the movie. Definitely go watch it. But I knew it was going to be some type of connection. I don't think that's too far-fetched, because of one thing I like about comic book movies nowadays, they have the actual stories and the characters, but they put a little twist to them, you know? So it's kind of cool.
And
like,
take advantage of the multiverse. Like, you can have whatever iteration.
Yeah, you could do whatever you want. Hey, 100%, Ryan. You can do whatever you want. So seeing
they could be kissing cousins from Alabama. That's what you want.
And true. That's very true. I mean, and to see the Joker kind of get teased, I think it was kind of shoehorned in. They probably could have saved that for an Easter egg. Actual, like, after credit scene, they kind of could have showed that. That would have been cool. But in the movie, it's kind of like, I see what y'all doing.
Yeah, I hear that now.
Yeah, okay. I see what y'all doing, but you didn't really do it. And it was crazy. I kind of threw on this t-shirt. I knew I had it. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna throw a Batman t-shirt on because we're gonna talk about it. But what's crazy, all 4 of these villains are in the movie as well. It didn't really dawn on me.
Riddler, the Joker, and the Penguin at the bottom.
Yep, right, and Catwoman right there. Right.
Oh yeah, I didn't see Catwoman.
Yeah, Catwoman right in the middle. So I didn't think about that. Yeah, so all 4 of these villains, Catwoman is kind of like a, villain sometimes, hero sometimes. But she's in the 2, whatever like that. But no, Ken, I think that's kind of I think that'd be a cool.
Well, remember the Joker?
If they do that.
They were hinting at that. Remember that?
Wait,
the Joker with Joaquin?
Oh, what about Joaquin? What about it?
They were like, part of the movie, a plot point was he might be Bruce Wayne's brother.
Yes.
That was part of the plot point.
Yes, you're 100% right. It would be cool if they kind of intertwine those movies, but I think they're like separate kind of entities, whatever like that. But that'd be really cool if that happened. That would be cool.
Supposedly, that's what they want. They want.
Hey, they could do it because, as you said, Ryan, you have the multiverse. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
these are not real.
That's too much of an excuse.
They're not real. They're not real. You can do whatever you want.
But that to me is a loophole that I hope everyone doesn't use too often. Right?
No, they don't. They don't. Like I said, they always have like a little quiz.
Like, you're right.
Because initially I thought it was Jared Leto. I thought it was Jared Leto. I said to Kenton, I said, "Is that Jared Leto?" Until they showed his face, and I was like, "Oh, that's a different Joker." And I thought about the multiverse then, and also, of course, we know if you just do history that there's a belief that there's more than one Joker. There's 3 Jokers, right?
Yeah.
So perhaps
they'll try
to use that or whatever, but I don't want everything to be that there's a multiverse and that's why we can do something.
Yeah, but to me, it's the opposite end. We are so far on the other end where, hey, it's a new version of whatever comic book hero, fill in the blank. They have to explain everything, and then it's kind of normal in movie 2, 3, and however more they do. Multiverse, you can just pick up and start. You can just go, which I really like about it. And I think like
that's what makes it too easy.
You don't want to, but you don't want to do too much of it. But you also don't want to do too much of this backstory stuff. Like, if comic book people are going there, we don't need to know origin. We need to know history.
You're not doing it for comic book people, though, Ryan. You're not doing it. You're not.
No, you're not doing it for comic book people. You're not doing it for comic book people, but Batman is so intertwined in American culture, American folklore. You really don't need to do it with him. You don't need to do it with Superman.
Even if it's
you don't need to do it with Batman.
If they do a brand new Iron Man, do you want to see the origin story of a brand new Iron Man?
Okay, so
because MCU is so big, you probably don't. But
the problem with Iron Man, and I'll say because I collected Iron Man comic books, right? even though he's an original, first of all, for anybody that doesn't know, Captain America is not an original Avenger. He's an original Avenger, all right? But he still was a B character. But I enjoyed his books. And he showed the MCU what he proved was you don't have to go through Spider-Man, Wolverine, you know what I'm saying, and whoever else you want to, the Hulk, to have a movie that hits, right? And that's what, even though I love Iron Man, he brought Iron Man to a lot of people. So to your point, you may have to do another, and I'm not saying I'm with you, Iron Man origin story, because he doesn't have the same Q rating as a Batman or a Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? Like we all know.
I get what you're saying, but then that speaks to comic book. I think
I'm still on your lane. But the thing is too, and this goes back to like the X-Men cartoon. The X-Men cartoon was cool, but when I was in high school, it wasn't as great as it was to people that didn't read the X-Men comic books. Right, because it didn't follow them, right. So even though it was cool and like my girlfriend at the time and people loved it, and you know what I'm saying, I talked to Afton, was one of the things. Some of the parts where, for instance, like anytime you keep seeing it, the low hanging fruit with the X-Men is the love affair or whatever between Scott, Jean Grey, and Wolverine want to get up in that mix, right? That's low hanging fruit. That like if you read the comic book, it wasn't prevalent to where like all the comic books was about. Like they would have you think that there was some type of struggle in the comic book all the time between Wolverine and Scott over Jean. That's not how the comic book was, right? But if you just follow that, because they like to center Wolverine because he's low-hanging fruit, because it's easy for people to be like, Wolverine, that you would think that's how it went. That's not at all how the comic book was, from X-Men, X-Factor, Uncanny, and everything like that. So that's the point of, I'm saying, like, and I get, so even the point I'm trying to say is a comic book nerd, particularly past comic book nerd, I know you're not trying to give the movie for me because you're trying to make it applicable for people that didn't read the comic books to do it, right? But there are some characters who haven't had as much history as far as marketing over and over in generations, like Captain America, Batman, and Spider-Man. That because people forget there was a 70s Captain America movie and a 70s Spider-Man movie, right? People forget that Spider-Man with the weird eyes slowly crawling up the building or whatever, or Captain America, the old Captain America. But they've been iterations in the past or whatever before all of our times. But you don't really, those characters you don't need to build a history above. But some of these B characters, but I'm still with you. I don't even think you really need to do that.
I think you could even give the history just without the regular origin. Because
Batman did that too. Batman still lets you. He's only been Batman for 2 years in this movie, right?
Right.
He still gave you an origin, right? Yeah. It was just we weren't fixated.
It wasn't the same cookie cutter.
Right.
That was what made it better.
Great point.
Yeah.
Great point. Yeah. And also, he needs to get the fuck off of Alfred's back, because earlier on I was like, if you don't know that's your motherfucking family, like he was coming, it was like, are you serious?
But thankfully towards the end of the movie,
thankfully it did, but it was still like,
which is gonna be
think that was them trying to show him being like the young, brandish, immature.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. He doesn't know exactly.
You should know that the person that raised you is the person that raised, and I get it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm very big on that, and I mean, I had my parents. Right. And it's funny, I was thinking about having a conversation in my head with my son. And it was about, and that's not even that I had to have it because it's not something he said something, but it's one of those things. I'm a big proponent of who raised you as that person. All right. I'm very big on that because that motherfucker didn't have to do it. All right. I'm huge on that. And I'm like, so for that, like during the movie, I was like at his neck, like, what the hell are you saying? Right? Cufflinks. I was like, see, that was the second time too. I was like, see, now you're going too far, right?
Yeah.
You're going smack. Too far. Right. But I go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, because I think Ryan said he had to hop. But overall though, love the movie. I hope they do bring Zoey Kravitz back into the mix. Maybe not.
What do you think about Zoey though, D? I'm sorry.
I think she was good. I think her character definitely served a purpose.
Where would you rate her as your Catwoman?
My second.
So you gonna put Michelle Pfeiffer above her?
Yeah.
So because I feel like
Zoe is my Catwoman too.
Halle Berry, I feel like Halle Berry, the role they cast her in was
that movie was just bad. Yeah, the movie
she didn't have a chance.
No, she did.
I'll say this. I have to go back and watch Michelle, and I used to love me some Michelle.
Michelle Pfeiffer, Catwoman.
Don't give Michelle Pfeiffer.
Iconic.
Yes. All right. But there was something to Zoe's swag, and I'm not the biggest Zoe Kravitz.
That's why I felt she stole the show.
I feel like look, if you did who didn't know that, let's let you know Batman being like out of touch. Because my first thought when he was like, you didn't tell me that you had a relationship with Falcone. I was like, that's her daddy.
I
was like,
I figured that too.
She's Selena Kyle, but I was like, that's not her man. That's something different. My first thought was like, that's her daddy. When he was like, you're coming back or something. That was like my thought there.
I kind of figured that one too. I think
she did a great job of conveying the human part of Batman, right? You know what? I'm gonna go ahead. I gotta go watch the Michelle Pfeiffer, which was good. But I'm gonna go and say Zoey Kravitz is my Catwoman.
Okay, all right.
I thought she did the best iteration of an anti-hero.
Yeah, and that's a great point.
Good point.
That's a
good point, Ryan.
That's a good point, Ryan. And also, they showed you the dichotomy with her grappling with wanting to be a murderer and Batman's justice, which also was great. When Batman and Jeffrey Wright went into that building, and Batman was like, "No guns." Which was stupid because it's like you already been running with Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright was like, "That's your thing, right?"
Right. He said,
"That's I'm a cop too.
I got this." Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I'm not in here fighting these fools. I got to plug a couple of cats.
Some of us don't have a Batmobile in the back, all right?
I know, and flipping people over.
Right. And if like getting back to Dee's point, when the Penguin came out like this, and they both left him and busted Huey on his ass.
Yeah.
Both of them busted Huey. But I felt that Zoey Kravitz did such an exceptional job.
I like that.
My only part, I felt that she was the equivalent of what was Ice-T's partner in New Jack City? It wasn't Judge Nelson. Who was the guy
I can't remember.
Right, but do you remember when Nino Brown gets shot by the old man in the courthouse?
Yeah, that
was the look that Zoe gave with what happened to Falcone. When it was kind of like, I could have just killed him when he was upstairs.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like I could have and got that feeling like if we was gonna come out here and do this or whatever, to be the huge spoiler alert. But again, let's get up out of here. If there's anything you guys want to say before we get up out of here about the movie,
hey man, I loved it. I can't wait for.
Where would you put it at? Is D? Where would you put it as your Batman movies?
It's second behind Dark Knight.
That's not bad. I wouldn't put.
Ryan said number one overall.
With Dark Knight, who's the villain in Dark Knight?
Joker. Heath Ledger.
Because y'all do a better job with knowing those different names.
Oh, okay.
I would put Rises above Dark Knight. But that's just
I would put this above. I would put this on the same parallel as Dark Knight, and the only reason I would do that, I feel I always, and I told you, dude, when we first got close, they wasted Two-Face.
I agree with you.
No reason.
They pigeonholed him in there for no reason.
It was just no reason to do. And also, also real quick, the part about that too, where Batman had to take the fall for Harvey Dent and become a villain in Gotham when he was about to turn into an anti-hero. And to see that, this is the point of why this one is close to the Batman we know, that you had the struggle between the police with having this vigilante in police settings. But that's what the Batman that we know, that he was allowed in these settings or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what made it cool to where it was closer to the comic book and the old Batman as far as the Adam West Batman, where the police wanted to know, of course it was Lieutenant Gordon, what Batman's intel was on what was going on compared to what he's this vigilante that we don't mess with whatsoever. I love the fact that they played with that. You know what I'm saying? So that was again, and Jeffrey Wright hitting them and be like, man, get your shit together, right? Like like that was
just get you out of here.
But also him allowing that, being Batman, where it's like, all right, because I know this dude is virtuous or whatever, that I'll allow that. But again, always check my man.
Great movie, man. Great movie.
We will have more of we got to name this something, right? We're going to come up with a name for this, right? But the Dean Davis, you know what I'm saying, with our producer who now is a co-host and showing out and doing this thing that he's doing and doing a fantastic job. We appreciate everyone taking a little bit of time. D, I definitely appreciate you spending 4 hours with us.
Right. Yeah, brother.
Right, but
y'all my brothers, man. I'm here for y'all.
So well, because this is going to go so long with our plans moving forward. We're trying to provide you all with more content. Well, not just more content that you will find valuable, especially with someone who is intelligent and is versed with the things that we're talking about and funny as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a very funny person, and the really crazy part is I'm a funny guy that sometimes has to play the straight man to D, right? And that's like the weird part, you know, D's all full D, right? But that's been the dichotomy of our relationship. So D, we appreciate you joining us with all the time.
Anytime, brothers.
Miss you, D.
So many episodes tonight, and we've been fortunate enough to have our brother with us. Ryan, great job.
I'll tell you what, when D comes out here in Vegas, we need to do a show.
Okay. I got you. I wish
I be there. I don't know. I'm gonna let you know. I'll be with the missus. I don't know about that one.
So you're not doing the show.
We're gonna get us together.
Quickie. We'll get a quickie in there somehow.
You're not doing the show. All right. So
Tony Gill? I can't get through.
That's what I was just about to say. Yes. But anyway, we're fortunate enough, and we're always blessed. And everybody be safe. I'm lucky enough to have my former co-host to be one of my closest friends, and also to have Ryan here. So everybody out there, take care of yourself. Don't be on any crazy shit. And D, take us out.
Keep your hands